Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We got a fun one prepared today. What we'll be doing is we'll be going over our upset alert picks for week 13 of the 2024 college football season. Now, I'm not saying that these teams are going to lose. It's just they need to be on upset alert for the potential upset happening this weekend. We have 5 specific games. We will be focusing on our top 25 matchups. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, please drop them below. Every single week, we go over every single college football game, the top 25, the non-top 25, and we also go over every NFL game as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can follow along with us. So the very first game we have that stood out to me is the obvious one. It's the game of the weekend on Fox, November 23rd at 12 p.m. It's an early one. Number 5 Indiana undefeated 10-0 versus number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes and 9-1. There's a lot riding on this game. A lot of people are doubting Indiana and saying that they don't deserve to be in the Final 12. In my view, no matter what happens this game, Indiana is going to be making the Final 12 for sure. And they have a good record. If they finish 11-1 out of the Big Ten, that's one of the best conferences there is. You still have to put them in that Final 12 because Texas also has no current top 25 wins, and so does Indiana. So if you're going to hold that against Indiana, you also have to hold the same thing against the Longhorns as well. But Ohio State comes in. They are the favorites. A 73.3% chance to win this game. 11-point favorites. The over under here is 51.5. Whoever wins this game could potentially be setting themselves to be playing the Oregon Ducks in the Big Ten Championship. That's obviously a major thing because whoever wins the Big Ten gets the bye week, makes the playoffs. They could still both make the playoffs, but you want that bye week. You want to win the Big Ten. The Buckeyes definitely want to get back to playing the Oregon Ducks. They lost by 1 point a couple weeks ago. They want the rematch. It's really hard to beat a good team twice. They are the favorites here, but this is one of their toughest games. Don't forget, this is the Buckeyes' 3rd top 5 game. They played the Ducks. They played Penn State. Now they're playing Indiana, and Indiana is rested. The Buckeyes have been playing, I think, 6 or 7 straight weeks, so they might be a little tired. They're definitely banged up on the offensive line. Looking at the playmakers here, for the Hoosiers, they have Rourke coming in. Rourke's been having a great season so far, throwing for a lot of yards. He's been extremely accurate with the passes. He's closing on 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 picks. And the Buckeyes, they have Howard closing in on 2,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks. Indiana, they have a top 3 offense in the nation. They're averaging 43.9. Throwing for 284.1, running for 176.7, but it's that defense only giving up 13.8 points a game. They have a top 10 defense, and right now they only give up 72.2 rushing yards per game. A very good defense. This is going to be their biggest test of the season, though. Buckeyes have the number 3 overall roster. They're averaging 37.8. Throwing for 275.1, running for 183.8. They don't have an elite running game, but they do have 2 elite level running backs, one of the best 2 running back punches in all of college football. They only give up 10.3 points a game. That's tied for number 1 with Army right now, and they're only giving up 90.7 yards on the ground. For Indiana, they have Rourke, they have Ellison, they have Surratt, and for Ohio State, Howard, Junkins, Henderson, great running backs. They have Smith, they have Egbuka. I could see this game being close. I don't think the Buckeyes are going to roll over Indiana, but I do think they will be getting the win. I have the Buckeyes getting the win here, cementing themselves as number 2, setting up a Big Ten matchup, number 1 versus number 2. The Buckeyes win this one 33-23. I do have Indiana keeping the game close. The Buckeyes pull away second half. I'm going with the plus 11, but we will also be going with the over. And the next matchup we're going to take a look at on ABC at 12 p.m. We have number 9 Ole Miss coming in at 8-2 versus 5-5 Florida. Ole Miss is very rested right now. Their last game, they beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Everything's still in front of them, but they do have 2 conference losses. So them making the SEC championship's probably not going to happen, but they still have a route to make the playoffs. They just can't lose any more games. They have 0 room for error. You can't finish 9-3 right now. There's going to be too many 10-2 seasons, too many 11-1 teams. You got to at least go 10-2 out of the SEC, and you're guaranteed a playoff spot. They have a 78.1% chance to win this game, 10.5-point favorites. The over-under is 55.5. Ole Miss, their offense is rolling, but the reason they're on upset alert is the Gators are just kind of a grinding team. They've been playing really close games. They're coming off of a beatdown of the LSU Tigers. This is a competitive team. Their defense has been playing better, but DJ Lagway's healthy. They lost Mertz. They lost Lagway. They were down to Warner, but now Lagway's back. When he's on the field, this is a completely different offense, and they're getting turnovers. Right now, Ole Miss, they have Dart, one of the best offenses in the nation. He's closing in on 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 picks. Florida has Lagway closing in on 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. Ole Miss is averaging 40.7. They're throwing for 375.7. They're running for 173.9. They're only giving up 12.9 points a game, only 79.9 on the ground, and Florida's averaging 28 points a game, throwing for 240.8, running for 147.3, and their defense only gives up 26.4. For Ole Miss, a loaded offensive roster, especially if they have a healthy Trey Hendrickson. They have Jackson Dart, they have Parrish Jr., they have Trey Harris, who's just a couple yards shy of 1,000, and for Florida, they have Lagway, Ball, Badger, but they have to play a clean game. They have to play competitive on the defensive side, but I think Ole Miss has too many weapons. I think this is going to be similar to when Texas played Florida, but not as much of a blowout because they have DJ Lagway, but I still have Ole Miss winning. They have quite possibly the best pass rush of any team in all of college football. Top 10 in sacks, top 10 in tackles for a loss, top 10 in quarterback hurries. They're going to get after it. I have them winning this one 34-23, covering the spread, and we're going to go with the over. And then our next matchup we're going to be looking at 3:30 p.m. on Fox. We have number 17 Colorado 8-2. What a team Deion Sanders has right now. They are having a really good season. Props to them. Much improved on both sides of the ball over last season. They'll be playing 4-6 Kansas. Now you're probably wondering, how the heck is Kansas have Colorado on upset alert? It's because Kansas is riding pretty good right now. BYU, Iowa State, this team is beating ranked teams. They're playing really competitive football because they're playing clean Kansas football. A really bad start to the season, but a lot of turnovers from the quarterback position. Daniel started out the season off. A lot of people actually picked Kansas to be competing for the Big 12 championship. They were a letdown starting out due to those turnovers, but since they've been playing clean football, they're winning games. This is the actual Kansas team that a lot of people expected to see when the season started. But right now, Colorado, obviously, they are loaded, especially on offense. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Horn, Wester, multiple weapons, one of the better wide receiver units in the country. They are 3-point favorites. The over here is 59.5. Right now, Colorado, obviously, Shedeur Sanders is putting up massive yards passing the ball. They do struggle to run the ball, but he's closing in on 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Daniel's playing cleaner right now, closing in on 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. Colorado averages 34.1. They throw for 346.9. They're only running for 77 yards a game. Their weakness is still the ground game. At some point, you're going to force it. You are going to have a team with a really good defensive line that's going to force you to have to run the ball because they're not going to give you time to hit those targets down the field. They are giving up 22.7 points a game. Kansas averages 30.2. Throwing for 210.8, running for 200.3, giving up 24.6 points a game. Obviously, Colorado has the weapons. They have the great wide receiver core. They have the great quarterback. They have good coaching. But Kansas has a weapon. They have Neal, a top 10 running back in the country, closing in on 1,000 yards, and Grimm with 600 yards. They can run the ball. Can they play time of possession, keep the ball out of Colorado's offense's hands? I think there's a world where Kansas pulls up another back-to-back-to-back upset win here. But I have Colorado pulling this out fourth quarter. They are battle-tested in the fourth. They win this one 38-28. They cover the spread. We're going with the over. And then the second to last matchup we're going to be looking at on NBC at 7 p.m. We have number 19 Army coming in undefeated, 9-0. What a season they are having. They're going to be playing Notre Dame, number 6, 9-1. That only loss was to NIU. That was obviously a really bad loss, but they have zero room for error right now. Notre Dame cannot afford to lose another game. If they lose another game and finish the season 10-2, they have no conference championship, so they're going to struggle to make the playoffs. Zero room for error. They have to make sure they win out in order to guarantee themselves a final spot for the playoffs. Right now, Notre Dame, they're coming in here. They're obviously heavy point favorites here, but you don't want to sleep on Army. But Notre Dame plays Army every year. They know how to play them. Right now, they come in 14-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5, and they have an 87.7% chance to win this game. The key to Army to upsetting Notre Dame is do what you do best. Run the ball, play defense. Army's the number 1 rushing team in the nation. They play ball control, triple option football. They have really long time of possessions. Sometimes for just one possession, they have the ball 10 to 12 minutes total. That's almost one entire quarter. They're going to ground and pound the whole game, but Notre Dame has a top 10, a top 5 defense right now. And they know how to play the triple option. They're going to try to keep you from getting that first down, get you off the field, and bring their offense in. Right now for Army, they have Daly closing on 700 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 1 picks. He's also lighting it up on the ground. He's the leading rusher, 1,100 yards. He has 21 rushing touchdowns. They're averaging 35.2 a game, only throwing for 87, but they run for 334.9, the number 1 rushing team in the nation, tied with the Buckeyes for top defense in the entire country, giving up 10.3 points a game. For Notre Dame, obviously Notre Dame is not a great passing team. Leonard, not an accurate passer by any means, but when you can run the ball as well as they do, that opens up the play action for those third down passes, and he's also a mobile quarterback. They will use his legs. He's closing on 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4 picks, for averaging 38 points a game. Throwing for 206, running for 216.7, only giving up 11.4 points a game. That is a top 5 national defense. They have Leonard, Love, Collins. Expect a steady dose of Love running downhill. Can they tire out Army's defense? Army can make this game competitive. They might have it first half, but Notre Dame will wear you out because you have to compete with them. Not 1, not 2, not 3. 4 total quarters of football. I have the Irish winning this one 38-17. Covering the spread, and we're going with the over here as well. And our final potential upset alert game, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Number 15, the Texas A&M Aggies, 8-2 versus Auburn, coming in here at 4-6. The Aggies are the favorite, 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 47.5. They have a 57.9% chance to win this game. You see where Vegas sees the potential upset alert, because the Aggies, who are number 15 versus a 4-win team, are only 2.5-point favorites. They are on the road. Auburn has a really good defense. They have a really good defensive line. Can they force Reed into some errors? Can they get their offense off the field? Don't forget they lost their running back. Reed, he's been playing great filling in for Wegman, obviously playing a lot better than him. He can run the ball. He has his legs. He can extend plays. But Auburn, even though their offense has been struggling, they're at home. They have nothing to lose here. The Aggies could get caught potentially looking at Texas next week. They haven't played Texas in a long time. That's going to be a massive game, but they got to get there first. They have to get through Auburn at Auburn. Right now for the Aggies, they have Reed closing in on 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. And for Auburn, Thorne closing in on 2,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. For Auburn to have a chance here to get the upset, Thorne has to play a clean game. This is the typical Auburn game where they're winning the whole game and then they lose it in the final minutes. Something weird happens. They turn the ball over. They lose it. Everything's setting up for that potentially happen here. The Aggies can run the ball. One of the best rushing offenses in the SEC. They're averaging 31.6. They're throwing for 209.3. Running for 212.9. Really good defense, only giving up 19.4 points a game. For Auburn, they're averaging 27.6, throwing for 271, running for 172. They can keep the ball on the ground, control the clock, but the key is playing clean, non-turnover football. They're only giving up 18.7 points a game. They have a top 20 defense. As long as you have a good defense, that could keep you in the game just long enough for your offense to get some scores. For the Aggies, they have Reed. Moss is out. Massive loss here. They have Thomas. And for Auburn, Thorne, Hunter closing in on 1,100 yards. They have Lampert Smith closing in on 800 yards. They have some weapons here. Thorne, just play a clean game. Take it play by play, possession by possession. This is where I see the greatest upset alert potential. So my pick, this is a bit of a stretch. I'm not going to bet on this one because to me it's way too 50-50. It's way too close. But I have Auburn winning it 23-20. So I'm going with the plus 2.5, and we're going to go with the under. So that's just 5 top 25 upset alert games that stood out to me. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, or if you have any other games that you think that alert could be there, just let us know. Thanks.